This is a really sad story. I was looking up Peter David because I'm reading through his Star Trek New Frontiers novels from the early 2000s, and I was like, what's the guy up to? And I came across a rabbit hole of just a lot of problems since 2017. What it comes down to is when you work for Marvel Comics, DC Comics, Star Trek as a tie-in author, you don't get much for your work, and you kind of get screwed in the process. These companies are really, really bad. They're evil on a level that's not just woke ideology, but just in the way they treat creators and they treat fans. And I like to point that out here because we are creator first here. And we wish Peter David and his family the best in this as we go through this. Very, very sad stuff as I'm about to get into just the destructive nature of mainstream entertainment. So please hit the like and subscribe button as we are standing up independently against this culture. I'm a science fiction and fantasy author myself. You can get my newsletter in the description below. But I also have a project out right now. It's on Fund My Comic, and I'm making my own graphic novel. This is my own universe. And so it's called the Terran Imperium Chronicles overall. And this book, The Emerald Array, is a Space Marine graphic novel about a Space Marine unit that's the elite unit in the Imperium going out and doing the Empire's hardest work. And so they have to fight against these evil demonic bug monsters that are attacking human colonists. It is real heroism. It's classic stories. It packs a punch. Alpha male action that you're absolutely going to love. It's in the description below, guys. It's a 66-page graphic novel. Get it this today. Get us over 320 backers. That'd be awesome on a weekend. Appreciate you for being there. And there's a whole tier in there if you want to grab all of the books in the Terran Imperium Chronicles. This one is standalone, but it does fit into a greater world, much like Star Wars stuff that they do. And we are doing it ourselves. And the reason is I'm going to own it all myself at the end of the day, sell these books forever. I can write books in this forever. I own my own characters. If, the Daily Wire wants to pick this up and make a movie out of it, call me. And then, of course, I'll be able to reap the benefits of my own creations. And that's the thing that happens when you're not working for yourself is Marvel owns everything. It's called a work for hire contract. And what happens is you get paid a page rate. It's actually very low because Marvel knows that there's a whole line of people that just want to write Spider-Man or X-Men or whatever it is. And they could just churn through one person after another. That's their entire business model. It's really sick. And people like Peter David worked for these companies for a long, long time. He did hundreds of issues of The Incredible Hulk. He did Spider-Man 2099. I think he did well over 100 issues of that as well. He did an X Factor run, which was phenomenal. He did Supergirl for DC Comics, one of the best runs on that as well. And the thing is, and he wrote a lot of Star Trek novels. So the thing is, he's got a famous element for this stuff, but he's not famous for Peter David's works. Now, I'm one of the few people out there that when I love an author like this, I go and check out their independent stuff as well. But that's not the norm for the industry. Most people just don't get followings. And so Peter David's got a few other books out there. He's got a fantasy series called Sir Apropos of Nothing, which is pretty funny. And he's a funny guy, everything is. He's got a wonderful series called Fallen Angel, which is kind of hard to find some of that stuff these days, but they're really good. And it just doesn't get the traction because it doesn't say Spider-Man on it. It's real. I hate this about modern entertainment culture. Independent people just get shafted all the time. And so you don't build that kind of following, and therefore you don't get a lot of money off of those projects a lot of the time. Now, there's rare exceptions, but for the most part, people in the comic industry just get screwed. And Marvel, they paid you your $50 a page or whatever, and then years down the line, you get nothing. Even when they reprint all your works, when you're one of their most lauded creators, they don't help out. They don't do much. It's all on the fans to do anything. And thankfully, Peter David had some fans and does. That have carried him along this far, but he's really, really struggling, and this is where it all started, guys. So that's kind of the preface to how the industry treats people. This is what's happening with Peter David. So in 2017, he was in a disastrous shape financially after decades of service in these mainstream comics companies. He wrote on his blog at the time, many years ago, I had a television series called Space Cases on the air. I made a lot of money that year. I mean, a lot. And I had a ton of money sitting in my bank account ready to send to the IRS for April 15th. It was good. And then that day, I was going to send the check. I swung by my nearest ATM to withdraw some cash and was astounded to see that half the money in my account was gone. Why was it gone? My then wife withdrew it in order to pay a divorce lawyer, which was how I found out my marriage was dissolving. So never money went to the IRS because I had to use the remainder to hire my own attorney. And that's crazy. I mean, the divorce law situations, especially in California, I think here in New York, are really, really bad, really, really expensive. They just destroy people, absolutely ruin people. And it's sad that this kind of thing's allowed to happen. I don't know what happened with their marriage or whatever, but I assume the lady just left. And it wasn't Peter David's fault, but if it wasn't, that's not a good thing that she could just take half of his stuff like that and then just wreck him. And so because of this, he owed a big fat check to the IRS and he was stuck. Over the years, I never managed to land another project which would pay me that much. Lots of people make promises. I even did the work for some of them, and none of them came up with the money. Meanwhile, I tried to make the payment arrangements with the IRS, but they didn't last because through the year I'd send the payments, but then on April 15th, I had no money to pay my income tax because I already sent them all my spare money. Yeah, this is a loop that's really, really bad. I had some tax problems a couple years ago. I thankfully got out of it. God, thank you so much for that. But my gosh, I sympathize so badly. Then they seem to just forget about it, which is just great. Except recently now they seem to have remembered, and they want all the money plus penalty and interest, and they want $88,000 is what he owed. Terrible amount. That's probably more than he makes in a lot of years. And so at the time he raised $445,000 of that on GoFundMe, and of course some other people helped out, he said, and he was able to pay that off and get that going. This is 2017. But he's back to zero at that point, and now he's an aging writer who's not getting contracts like he used to. This is a big problem in the industry. Again, these people just get screwed, and so he got some writing jobs for Marvel in the last few years, but I'm sure they don't pay like they used to, and he's stuck. Then he got hit with massive health problems on top of this, and this got really, really sad, guys. And he says his situation only got worse from there. However, his health began to deteriorate in the early 2000s. He suffered kidney failure, a heart attack, numerous strokes, making it difficult for him to work on all, adding a ridiculous healthcare bill to his problems. And, of course, he opened a GoFundMe. This one raised $300,000. This sounds like a lot, guys, but this is from 2020 to, 2024. If you look at that annually, and you divide 300 by, 5 years, that's $60,000 a year. And if you don't know our American healthcare system, if you're from Europe or something like that, one surgery might eat up that entire $300,000. So, and he's on kidney dialysis. He's had strokes, heart attacks. I mean, he's had massive problems where you go into that emergency room and you get screwed in America if you don't have that insurance, which, unfortunately, when you're not working for a company, it proves very, very difficult to get insurance, and it costs a ton of money, especially if you're older with health problems already. Yay, American healthcare system. So his wife provided an update on December 2024. It's really sad. We have a mountain of paperwork to find. Peter was rejected for Medicaid, and this is the one thing that's supposed to be able to help you in this. After being on it for a year and a half, insurance only pays for so many weeks of dialysis unless there's a new diagnosis. Then the clock goes back to zero, and he has that many more weeks. Medicaid is why we are not totally broke, and the other reasons are on GoFundMe and Patreon. So if we shut the GoFundMe down last week because I thought we were financially secure while I continue to try to find a job I can live with, now this has reared its ugly head. Yesterday's meeting was good and bad news. We do have a plan to fight the rejection, starting with an appeal with the Suffolk County Social Services offices. Gives us a little time and paperwork together. However, this is all something during the holiday season, which actually gives us less time overall. And that sucks. Yeah, the holiday season, everything's closed. It's very difficult to manage and all that. Getting the paperwork has been like pulling teeth. I have the power of attorney, but I have to get vetted for every company that Disney uses payroll with and the like. And then it has to go through Disney lawyers who sign off on it, and they could take a long time, 7 to 10 business days, 2 weeks for us mortal folk. I am making progress. However, it feels like a puzzle piece I have to use to finish the Medicaid paperwork. I'm tired and frustrated. We'll continue to do the work. Now, it's beginning of December, and so here's the end of December, and this is where it gets even worse. Peter is at his new normal, has no new infections, which is, God bless that. We're very happy about that. To hear his health's okay. Our big problem is Medicaid rejecting Peter, so this is still happening even at the end of December. We have a hearing on Wednesday. There may be a new GoFundMe to pay his medical bills, which are stacking up. So now they're in arrears, which means interest is hitting. Disaster. This is so evil that the companies do this. I have kept up so far, and the budget is squeaking. So there it is. And he's worked so long for Marvel Comics, has nothing. This is not the only one. William Messner Loebs wrote Flash, Wonder Woman, Thor, and he was homeless in 2018. There's a lot of problems with the comic book industry just churning these people out. They get nothing for it, and these corporations just reap hundreds and millions and billions of dollars off of these properties and off of these ideas for work because they own it all at the end of the day. It is a very, very scammy system. So I always say don't go to these corporations. Don't strive to work for Marvel and DC if you're a creator. Don't strive to be a tie-in author. I've done another video about Star Trek and Star Wars tie-ins and how difficult they are, and they don't pay. Again, I've seen so many people in those areas struggling in life as well because they just don't make a lot of money off of those books, and then they get nothing to show for it. They don't even have a fan base a lot of the time. Peter David's actually lucky that he does have fans because other people in this position would not. So independent is the way. Corporations are evil. This is just another sad story about that. And pray for Peter David and his family, guys. Once we do see a way to help them, I will, of course, let you all know. And thank you for being here. Leave a comment down below with what you think. Hit the like and subscribe button. Please support independent science fiction. This is a great graphic novel, guys. You're going to love this. It is everything everybody's ever asked for out of my books. Strong male team, excellent science fiction, badass action. This is for you. Check it out. Support what's coming up, guys, because this is the spot where we're going to fight the corporations the best. Really appreciate you for being there, and we'll be back soon.